Sounds good. Thank you very much. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Sowinski here from Console Creatures with two of the incredible cast members from Black Butler. I'm joined by Brina Palencia and J. Michael Tatum, who voice Ciel Phantomhive and the hell of a good butler himself, Sebastian. Hi, it is a genuine pleasure to meet you both. Huge fan from all across the board. So thank you for joining me.
Thank
Oh,
you. We're happy to be
thanks for
here.
having us. Yeah.
I'm very, very excited to be speaking to you both. I'm a newer Black Butler fan myself, so when I found out that the public school arc, which is currently we're in the throes of it all, I was very, very excited to have an opportunity to speak to you both. So I'd love to kick things off by asking, Black Butler obviously been around for quite a while, and it seems like we keep coming back to it, and the fan response every time we do is ecstatic. What's the process like coming back to these characters, finding their voices again? Do you find yourselves kind of changing them a little bit, trying to get us back close to what it was before? Can you tell me a little bit about the process?
Well, I think we're seeing a different side of Ciel than we've ever seen before. So I'm kind of having to not only get back to where we left off, but also enter into this whole new realm where he has this like kind of fake voice that he puts on to try to fit in at school. Um, but that's honestly my favorite aspect of it. It's so fun and satisfying to see him struggle so much with school politics when we're used to seeing him just do so much more epic, more intense and just like devastating things. And then now it's like he's just in school and you think I just had no idea how fun that was going to be. It's so delightful.
It's really interesting for me as well, just as a viewer, because you're used to CL being much different, like you're saying, but it's also the comedy that comes across in these situations. Oh my God, adorable.
I
The
know, he's
comedy
so
that comes
cute.
She
across
does this
and
on
the
purpose, I'm telling you.
I mean, I would too if I was her, honestly. I also want my spot in the sunlight. But the delivery on the comedy and everything is just so well done. Michael, same with you. What's it like coming to back to Sebastian?
It's such a joy. It's such a joy. It's not often that we get to, as actors, to revisit characters. Once your relationship to them is very, confined to usually a few months, maybe a couple of years if you're lucky, and then you never really get to uh, put that mantle on again. Um, and as an actor, you always, we're kind of perfectionists, so we always kind of look at our work and be like, oh man, I would use what I know now if I'd done it then. You kind of it's hard to not do that. We're very self-critical. It's just kind of part of the job. And so getting actually to go back and be like, oh, I have more tools I can use now. I've learned a lot since the last time I did this role. So I want to see how I can, use this. Because we're always picking up new techniques, new methods, and we always want to try them. And it's really cool to try them on stuff old roles. Um, in this particular case, what I love about it is Sebastian's voice is not terribly far away from my own. It's more a demeanor thing. He's a little more controlled and a little airier than I am. I think, but the accent isn't really hard for me to do. I always sound like I'm trying to fake not
That's
having a
honestly
British
like
accent
so
anyway.
many
Yeah.
directors. I've gotten to direct Michael before in a pretty sizable role, and that was one of my most common notes to him. Is just like, "Hey, can you
It's
be
like
less
less
British?
British.
This is not a British show."
So, and Sebastian's voice just kind of comes out of me on the regular in my day-to-day life because it's fun. It's a fun voice. I love doing it. I like the way it feels to do it. It's like wearing a really comfortable silk robe or something. It's just really, I love it. I really love it. I would do it every day if I could get away with it. Um, and I probably could. I'm sure as an old man, when I'm like in my 90s and perfectly senile, that's just the voice I'm going to do all the time. Anyway, what's changed about him this time around, which is super fun to explore, is the dynamic because of the situation they're in, with him being kind of deep cover as a teacher. So now he gets to kind of be a little superior to CL in when they're at school. There's now a level of sarcasm between them that hasn't been there before. I mean, there's always been a little bit of barbed back and forth between them. It's part of the sort of domestic comedy aspect of the show. But this one, it really ramps up, and it's so funny watching them kind of just poke at each other with these little, just perfectly British, like, yeah, oh, quite, sort of
Very
witticisms. It's
subdued.
so
Yeah.
much fun to do. I love playing that.
It's really interesting because in one of the newest episodes, we catch a moment between the two characters when Ciel has to thank Sebastian for something that he had done and helped him along with. And the kind of turn on what the expectations that you've come to kind of expect from both of them. It's a really fun scene, and the delivery on both of your parts just kind of really hammers it home because you're not used to seeing either one of them in the positions that they're in. And to have
Yeah.
that kind of turnaround is just incredibly entertaining.
Uh,
I'd love to drill down on that a little bit more because Brina, like you mentioned, Ciel is completely a fish out of the water a little bit here. He's very much used to having his own space and being the controller in it, and now he's kind of, navigating the waters of Weston College, having to become a drudge, even though he gets Sebastian's help lots of the time. He's kind of now navigating not just the big world around him, but the very small little planet of Weston College. How do you find him navigating those waters? Because they're very different from what he's used to.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, he's definitely struggling. And what's so funny, I was telling Caitlin Glass, the ADR director, I'm not used to Ciel being underprepared because usually he goes into any scenario just knowing just the inside and out of everything and everyone involved. And I love that he, from day one, he's like, "Oh, I didn't read the rule book." I didn't know I wasn't supposed to walk on the grass. Like, because I think it's because he thinks it's going to be so much easier than anything else that he's done, and he just wildly underestimates how difficult school politics and school dynamics and cliques and all that are. Um, and it's just so fun to see him get as flustered as he does. He just has no idea what to do with himself. He's so angry about it, and it's so funny and so cute.
It's really funny because he's now having to really drill down on a bunch of rules in a space that he's never had to worry about that before, and let alone some of these traditions like don't walk on the lawn, maybe a little bit extreme at points. So it's
Yeah.
it's really interesting watching him navigate those waters. Similarly, Michael with Sebastian coming into this role of power where he's not only just worrying about Ciel, he now has the rest of the student body to kind of contend with, on top of the extra stuff that Ciel needs him to do as a drudge. How is he navigating that space of not just worrying about the public facing role, but the private one as well, outside of obviously hanging upside down off of anything that he can possibly find along the way?
I mean, he knows his angles.
I'm saying.
I think Sebastian is having a delightful time. I think because he just loves the challenge and he loves so much of his personality, at least the persona of his that we associate with him being Ciel's butler, comes from observing Ciel and adjusting to Ciel's needs. Even if that is counterintuitive to what Ciel thinks he might need. um, it's fun. I think he's getting so much nourishment from watching Ciel in this context where it is just the pressures it's putting on Ciel are bringing out totally different facets of his personality, and it's deepening, I think, Sebastian's appreciation for how resourceful and capable Ciel has always been. But now it's like, oh, but now he's in a situation that he has no frame of reference for. And I love the implication. I also love the implication that Sebastian is able to thrive in this environment, school, because he's from hell. So it's familiar. It's like,
That's
oh, this is just school. We do this back home. It's sort of the implication because Sebastian is very comfortable in his skin in this school setting, and it's mostly he's just watching Ciel and being like, okay, well, that's a choice. Um, it's super. I think Sebastian seems to be having a lot of fun, but he's always having a good time.
there's a constant glint in his eye. I feel like this entire season so far, where you just know that he's
Yeah.
loving the space that he's in, but also watching Ciel squirm a little bit has to bring a bit
Yeah,
of joy to him.
Oh yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Something I'd love to ask you both is that when it comes to anime, there's always a very passionate fan base when it comes to subs, dubs, and anything in between. And when this was announced that it was coming back and that you folks were reprising your roles, the outcry and support was incredible. How does that feel to have such a public backing when it comes to voicing these characters? Because to me, you two are them. There's no other possible replacement, and the rest of the community seems to agree. So how does that feel?
Oh,
It's really sweet.
I know it's really
Genuinely
sweet.
though, like
Yeah, I
It's a
mean,
go ahead. Sorry, I don't
I
mean
was,
to.
yeah, I was probably just going to ramble. I mean, it's so, I mean, it's an honor and a privilege. I mean, I know that sounds cheesy, but it really is. I mean, to have a character that people love as much as you do as the actor is like, that doesn't always happen. It's a really, it can be a unique experience. And especially for a show that's been around as long as Black Butler has, and to have come back after, you know, the 7-year hiatus, it's, I don't know, it was unexpected. I will say that.
Mhm.
I didn't think it would happen the way that it did, and I'm delighted that it did. And I'm not good at compliments.
Emotions.
What do
She's
I do with my
terrible. She can't.
hands?
She can't take it. She can't take it. She's in
I'm
hell
the
right
same way.
now.
I just seize up
Um,
and hang upside down on something nearby.
Yeah.
I love compliments. Shower me all day.
One of the
I will take
greatest.
Brina's compliments for myself. No, I it's so lovely as an actor. You know, you always hope that people are moved by what you do, and when you see the level of support we've always gotten for being part of the show, um, I mean, but it does the sense of responsibility. I think that gives all of us to really give it our all because we know how much faith the fans are putting in us. You know, and the show has you know, longevity for a reason. I mean, there's a reason it can come back after so long and still have not only the same core fans it's always had, but new fans come to it and love it just as much. I mean, there's a reason it's so long lived, and you know, and the sense of responsibility for being part of that, and like it's our responsibility to come into it and you know, make uh, the gift of that show's longevity show that we appreciate it as much as the fans do. One of my favorite things about getting to do what we do is that we share this love for the characters with the fans, and we're fans of the material as well. Um, so you know, it kind of we're part of this large extended family that we, you know, get to be that we would never get to meet otherwise, but because we happen to voice these characters and haven't and didn't screw it up, um, which is an important part of the job, you know. But it's really nice. I think we're very lucky too that because the characters are British, you know, quintessentially English accent, that I think perhaps the dub is given a little more leeway than others because it takes place in an English speaking world,
Mhm.
so that the dub kind of feels, you know, there's potential in the minds of the audience for the dub to be more naturalistic. Because it makes sense that it, you know, it's takes place in Victorian England, so let's do the accent, and it's
Yeah,
also
I
like
think
shout
for
out
this
to,
show,
you know,
sorry, I was gonna say for
so
this
sorry,
show.
sorry. I was just a quick shout out to Caitlin Glass,
Oh, yeah.
who's been directing Public School Arc and who's such an expert in the variety of British dialects that she keeps all of us very honest.
Yes.
She's amazing. She's incredibly talented,
Yeah.
but her ear for the dialects, and there
Our
are, I mean, you,
accents have never
yeah,
sounded better, like honestly.
yeah, they never. It's and it's the show's always been wonderfully directed on our end, but Caitlin, it's such a joy to work with Caitlin Glass, who, like myself, always sounds like she's struggling to hide a genuine British accent.
It's true.
I
It's so
Yeah,
true.
Well, I just wanted to thank you both again for your time. It has been a genuine pleasure speaking with you both. Black Butler is in its public school arc, and I hope there's more to come in the future. Thank you both again for your time. Go check it out. Crunchyroll, Black Butler, public school arc. We got half more to go. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
thank you. Excellent.